Hello and welcome. Good evening, everyone. My name is Gopal Krishna Anand, Associate Editor of Thermal Control Magazine, and I welcome you all to the Thermal Control Magazine's interactive session on cold chain opportunities in warehousing and logistics. Delegates, I have my colleague Rajeshwari Venkata Subramanian, Editorial Thermal Control Magazines, to introduce the panelists and tell you more about this interactive session. I welcome Ms. Rajeshwari to take over and moderate the session.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gopal. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thermal Control Magazine's interactive session on cold chain opportunities in warehousing and logistics. Cold chain impart storage and distribution services for products that have to be maintained at a given temperature. It includes warehousing of temperature-sensitive products from the point of origin to the point of consumption and prevents spoilage. Cold chain is primarily used to maintain and extend the life of products such as fresh agricultural products, seafood, frozen food, chemicals, and pharmaceutical products. Indian cold chain logistics sector is expected to grow at over 20% CAGR by 2025, owing to its transformation to modern storage space. However, global cold chain logistics market is valued and is projected to reach $782.27 billion by 2030, registering a CAGR of 14.6% from 2021 to 2030, according to the reports. Monitoring, storing, and transporting are the crucial factors in the cold chain to prevent degradation in the quality of the shipments. Mobile robots are particularly helpful for moving goods from warehouse shelves to fulfillment zones. Presently, the cold chain logistics market is anticipated to witness significant growth owing to the rise in the need for cold chain management in the pharmaceutical industry. Furthermore, RFID technology of cold chain applications and the adoption of software for cold chain logistics provide growth opportunities for market players. On this note, today we have come together to witness an engaging session on cold chain opportunities in warehousing and logistics. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and a privilege for me to introduce you to today's distinguished speakers. Mr. Rajesh Goel, the President of Federation of Cold Storage Associations of India, Mr. Rajat Gupta, the co-founder and CEO of Tesol, and Mr. Sushil Tiotia, Assistant Vice President Sales, Bry-Air Asia Private Limited. I invite Mr. Gopal Anand to join us for this session.
Mr. Rajesh, I want to know from you, everything has to go via cold chain, and there are large open spaces in supermarkets or big cold storages that need fresh air exchange and temperature controlled storage. How to manage cooling in those spaces with new technologies? Mr. Rajesh.
There are technologies available now in India, which are coming from the foreign countries also. And we should go and explore how can we come up with the cooling spaces in these malls and other open spaces, because we have to make the optimum use of the space available with us, and where the things are on the sale also, because in malls and in these areas the products are also sold, and having a cooling space in these areas will provide a very good sales also, and the fresh item also, which is the requirement of the time. So as far as technologies are concerned, we have to see which companies and which consultants are, it has to be explored out, and we can come up and we can share it very soon, technologies and the consultants and the companies who can put up these things. But there are many on the roll in India also who are coming up with deep freezers, cold rooms, houses, very of any size. They can be fitted in any size, anywhere in the. It can be in the open space also. It can be in the mall also. So it is not a very serious issue nowadays.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Rajesh. Yes, definitely technologies are on the way, and our cold storage is also on the way to growth. Mr. Sushil, coming to you, I need to ask, you were talking about role of humidity in cold storages. You talked about the active and passive cold storages. So frosting is the main concern, whether it is in the households or whether it is in commercial places. So what cooling technologies are being developed besides dehumidifier is if moisture is increased and frost formation has taken place to prevent the spoilage of commodities.
Actually, if you see the traditional method which typically we use currently is very relevant to the dew point, because we are doing the cooling and then we are reducing the temperature. But that entire technology has a limitation. You cannot reduce moisture beyond a point. So if you have to remove the moisture beyond a point, and to avoid all these situations, generally icing and defrosting situation comes more in the rainy seasons when the moisture load is very high in the atmosphere, and the current system is not able to remove that, and start depositing around the coils and within the room. So the new technology which we are offering to the industry basically entirely depend on the removal of moisture by using a desiccant wheel, and that technology can give you as low as less than 1% RH also. So there is absolute no moisture present in the atmosphere, and that gives a positive impact on the shelf life of product also. And you can control the environment to adjust as per the requirement of the product, whether it's a onion drying you are doing, it's a spice drying you are doing, chilling storage you are doing, seed storage you are doing, frozen food you are doing. Every application and every product has a different requirements. So if you are using a right combination of a moisture and temperature, and you have a precise control on that, that will ultimately increase your shelf life. Increasing the shelf life means reducing the wastage. Reducing the wastage means your total cost of operation will.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sushil. Naturally, the life cycle of the product that can be preserved with the new technologies which are on the way and already available. And we have to innovate more for protecting and preserving the commodities from wastage. Mr. Rajat, coming to you, you were talking about the last mile connectivity and delivery after pandemic. And we are all moving towards environmentally sustainable ways to growth. Storing energies and putting it in insulated boxes means controlling the temperature. But nowadays, there is a growing trend of purchasing perishable foods products online. People are sitting at home. What innovations are needed to provide last mile delivery in time?
So, Mr. Gopal Krishna, depending upon what is the time of delivery required by the customer, whether it is a 10-minute delivery or a 4-hour or a 24-hour delivery, there are specific solutions that are available at different price points, so that one can evaluate which solution suits the product best. So, when actually the overall time is much shorter, like the 15-20 minutes or within 30 minutes, except in extreme summer, for chilled products, people have been using insulated bags, and that is generally sufficed if the cold chain is maintained till the dark store. But for frozen products, especially for ice creams, etc., they require additional cooling and additional coolants even for a 30-minute delivery. So there are solutions which are typically based on the phase change technology itself, which are being very actively used. One of the solutions that I had shown in the picture, IndiWrap, is we give almost around 1.5 million packs of that per month just for home delivery application. So I think it's a huge opportunity which is there, and as I said, for different time durations and different products, there are different solutions available, and one has to work on the viability and temperature both in order to get an ideal long-term solution.
Thank you, Mr. Then for that we need some temperature-controlled instruments also to monitor the temperatures, whether the things are being preserved, and that's nice to know about that. There is a question in the Q&A box for Mr. Goel. It is from Mr. Bhavish Mehta, Reliance Retail. He's asking, are we going to initiate a standard guideline for cold chain considering 24/7 application? Is there huge scope for energy conservation there? Mr. Rajesh.
Some cold storages of different products are already working 24/7 in some cities, and rest the traditional and conventional cold storages which are working on potatoes and vegetables for just which are passive cold storages according to the Bry-Air, Mr. Sushil told it. They are working on the regular timely basis, not on 24/7 basis. It depends upon the nature of the product which is kept and preserved in the cold storages, at what time the delivery is taking up. But we are seeing that during the loading time, when we are loading the fruits and vegetables in our cold storages, we are doing it nearly 24/7 or 20 hours a day at least. So it is not difficult for us to follow the standard guidelines of 24/7. If we are keeping that type of product, with that is, if the nature of products allow us, then we are ready and our members are ready to work 24/7. That's no problem. There's a different shift there, different loading stints are there, supervisors are there, and they are doing it. If the product requires a 24/7 delivery, we are ready to. There's no problem for it.
Thank you, Mr. Rajesh,
Yes.
for answering that. Mr. Bhavish, I think you must have got the reply for that.
Everywhere the cost of energy is increasing, cost of diesel, cost of power tariff, and generally our cold storages in Reliance, we have almost 24/7. Okay, I'm handling all the cold storages. We have almost developing 1,000 cold storage across the country for pharma DC also. So now when it comes about the energy, cost of energy, as I said earlier, it is increasing. So are we going to make, like, ASHRAE has a standard 90.1 or maybe 62.1. ASHRAE 90.1 talks about the COP or EER or whatever. So are we going to initiate, because now these are high time when the organized retail are pushing like anything in India. So I personally feel that we should initiate some standard guideline, like as far as power consumption is concerned. Even I'm connected to all the OEMs, as you rightly said, like Blue Star, like Megastar, like Panasonic, like Rhineck, like Daikin. All the team members are connected to me. We have a rate contract for the cold storage with them. But when I talk to them about the standardization, they are raising their hands. Bole, there is no much more standardization has been made on this subject. Even I talked to Mr. Surange. He is the doyen of our industry, refrigeration industry. Okay, Mr. Surange also. I mean, so though I personally feel that there should be some. We should draw a line. We should initiate how to conserve the energy in this. And I feel I'm personally, Mr. Gopal Krishnan, I will volunteer myself for initiating this movement as far as cold storage energy conservation is concerned. Because when if you save even 1 rupee per unit, we have 1,000 cold storage across the country. So it's a huge saving. So I can volunteer, if you invite me, I can volunteer myself for conserving and how to conserve energy, talking with all the OEMs, because we are connected to them regularly. So I think this is what my submission is there. Mr. Gopal Krishna and the entire team, thanks. So I think I wish to volunteer. I wish to do something for the industry, ultimately for the benefit of the mankind. So this is what I would like to do.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bhavish, for taking that initiative. That's a very bold step. So nice of you for that appreciations. So, Mr. Rajat, what is your take on Mr. Bhavish energy conservation point of view?
I think there are two elements to it. One is energy conservation. There is another element of sustainability. So I was working on one of the projects along with World Bank, where sustainability and energy conservation, they both go hand in hand. So while you are making more efficient systems, you are saving energy. So there, one of the recommendations, as Bhavish Bhai just mentioned, was to actually have standards in terms of building cold storages. The challenge that typically comes, Bhavish, is that the requirements of end customers are very non-standard, and it becomes extremely difficult to start sort of rating the complete system. And because the energy efficiency is not a function of the machine that is being used, or not a function of only the building construction, it's a combination, right? So you have to look at the panels and the kind of panels, the quality of panels. You have to look at the machines, the efficiency there. You also have to look at the SOPs being followed across the value chain, and all of that impacts the energy which is consumed by a cold storage. And so I think in a given with a given reference of a certain square feet of cold storage or cubic feet of cold storage, one can create some of the norms saying that X amount of energy should be consumed for a certain temperature cold storage, and anything above that, non-efficient, and below that. And the second thing, Bhavish Bhai, the importance, this will become anything of relevance only if there are incentives, right? So if people are of course saving energy, but at the same time, if there are certain incentives from the government or from the ministries in order to promote efficient cold storages, either on the capex or there could be some kind of benefits, interest benefits on loans, etc. Those kind of incentives can actually incentivize people to make more energy efficient structures, because in many cases, if the cold room is being built for only operation and based on subsidy, many a times there is just a limitation on the overall capex, and therefore nobody wants to spend more money or try to find what is new and innovative. And my last point here is that also a lot of cold storage owners will get help in terms of validating technologies and solutions that they should use using these kind of standards, which can either be promoted by the cold storage association, or they could also be a function of something that is put by the refrigeration unit at ASHRAE or ISHRAE. We have had some conversations there as well in order to put some standards for cold chain. But I think it's a very, very valid point and something which is absolutely required by us in order to start promoting better technology and more efficiency in cold chain.
One thing I would like to add.
Yeah,
see,
please.
When you say you want an incentive, now whatever energy you save and whatever amount you save in terms of money, it itself is an incentive. Okay, whatever delta you are saving in terms of money. Okay, this is number one. Number two, I am also part of the core committee member of a CII IGBC Mumbai. And when you talk about sustainability, I am basically, I believe myself as a green ambassador. Okay, because I am part of the student activity chair and promote the concept of green sustainability across the Mumbai colleges and Mumbai different companies. So I again request Mr. Gopal Krishna, that let us start something on this. And if you start something, then only something will happen, something will move. So this is what I'm going to share, because 40 we design with 40 HN per hour. So I can initiate, I can promote, and I can support entire team. Whatever I can wish, I can do. Whatever you feel I can, the best I can do for the society. That's what my aim.
Thank you, Mr. Bhavesh. Again, reiterating your commitment towards the initiative. Mr. Rajesh Goel, also, what is your take about the standards as ASHRAE or ISHRAE or the Indian standards which we can devise for that?
As we are now upgrading ourselves and changing our cold storage lifestyles and all the working methods, this all will be accepted in a phased manner over a time period. We are ready to accept all the things, but it will take time. And we are ready, and our members who are requiring these things, because many of our members are now keeping the company, the MNC's products. They have a long list of requirements which has to be fulfilled by them. And they are fulfilling these by doing all the data loggers, all the certifications, all the things. So if the requirement is, as soon as we see the requirement is generated, the things are being done accordingly. So we are, it is no problem. If the ISHRAE has come up, they have these guidelines, standard guidelines. And if the MNCs who are now keeping their products in some modernized cold storages, who have turned themselves, who have converted their cold storages into basic cold chain facilities. So if the requirement comes up for these things 24/7 for the energy saving, then our members are ready there, because when they have given the lot of certifications and lot of things as per the requirements, they will complete this also. We are very hopeful for that. There's no problem.
Yes, rightly said, Mr. Rajesh. Requirements have to match the demands. Mr. Sushil, yes. What is your take about the standards?
I think it's a very good point which raised today in this forum, because we also face challenges certain times to convince our customers because of the ambiguity. And I think if some standards, some clarity is there, a lot of development is happening in rural market. If you go and see the C towns and D-class towns, a lot of development are coming, local entrepreneurs are putting their money, and they are looking forward some guidance and some advice where they should invest money in the right equipments, right processes, and right facilities. So I think this initiative will definitely help in totality to the new entrepreneur who are investing in this business, and the old entrepreneur those who are trying to renovate their facilities, and will help supplier also to streamline themselves towards these guidelines, so that their equipments should also deliver these performances. So it's really a very, very good thing if it can be done.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sushil. And what about the energy conservation? because of you were mentioning that even if you raise a curtain, so much amount of energy and cold storage have to spend that.
Yeah. But I can tell you that the current systems which are installed and used and the system which I have shown, there is a huge difference between them, because these units consume very less energy if you compare with the performance. But of course, from a company point of view, green energy is one of the key priority, and we are working with the help of our own research and development facility, how we can reduce the kilowatt requirement of our machines for that. Still, they are very less, and how we can regenerate more and more moisture by utilizing less and less energy. And one more thing which is very important in this entire process is the selection and design, where people lack a lot of experiences, and with the wrong calculations and wrong assumptions, if you select a little bit higher equipments, a little bit higher facilities, that cost a lot in a longer term. So the right selection with the right selection of the equipments, like load calculations, all together become a very energy efficient setups.
Yeah, that's quite right. Energy is very important, and that has to be conserved through any means. There is a question from Mr. Rajiv Chakravarti. He is asking how much area is required and what is the power requirement for setting up cold storage in remote rural areas. Please list out all the dependencies for setting up the cold storage.
Yeah, sir, it's a question which cannot be answered in one sentence.
Yes.
Because there are so many factors. Volume is one of the criteria, but what product you are planning to put there, store there, what could be the load available there, what are the surrounding conditions, and what temperature we are planning to maintain inside the room. So we always recommend our customers, whenever you are planning to put up a new project, to please invite us. Our engineers will come and will check all conditions, all requirements, and then he will suggest you the right equipment for your requirement.
Yeah, that's right. So,
yes.
Measurement is required by the physical means. What is your take, Mr. Rajesh? You are concerned with
the
this?
same thing, because they have not mentioned the capacity for which they have to be planning to build up a cold storage. The area and the load depends upon the capacity, whether it is 2,500 tons, 5,000 metric ton, or at what capacity they are planning to build a cold storage, and for which products. Whether it is if it is a rural area, then it might go for potato. There is a long list and a long thing. So then we can decide that how much space is required and how much load is required.
Yes, definitely. Space and commodity.
We don't know the capacity of the cold storage, how many chambers they are planning to make, and the capacity of each chamber, the height, length, breadth of these chambers, whether it is a multi-story chambers or a single-story chamber. They want to keep in bins, or they want to keep on pellets, or there's a long story. There are very n-numbered type of cold storages now. They're available in the market.
So many parameters required for that.
Yes. If it's a traditional type, it's made of the bricks.
Yeah.
Now the modern cold storages are built of puff panels. There is no requirement for the wall also. But in rural areas, whether it is possible or not, what is the temperatures there, and what all facilities we are getting there in that rural area. That is the entire scheme is now available with NHB or NHM is there. There on the online, and NCCD, National Center for Cold Chain Development. Entire schemes of building up of cold storages, they are available on these online. You can go and see, and then you can come up with yourself will know how much space and load will be required.
Yeah, that's right. Quite.
But as a sample case, I can tell you that I have a 10,000 metric ton cold storage, and it is built in 10,000 square yard area, and I have a connection of 250 kilowatt connection. So this is a sample case. They can see 250 kilowatt connections in 10,000 square yards, and 10,000 on 11,000 metric tons cold storage we are having.
That's
there are 3 chambers there.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Accordingly, you can plan out how much connection, how much space, how much capacity.
That's good to know. At least some measurements are there.
Last 2 years, we have initiated the green building standard for the petrol pump and the logistics warehouses. Okay, and Reliance has played a very major role in developing this standard, which is already launched during last Green Building Congress. Okay, very important in the country. So I suggest that we should initiate the green building or green cold storage standard to be written and to be developed and to be launched in maybe next or next to next green building congress. So this is what my dream. Okay, this is what I'm suggesting. Let us do that. Let us initiate that.
There is a NHB is there. They are making guidelines for the construction of the cold storages every year. So we can give suggestions to the NHB for the green cold storages.
Yeah,
because
absolutely
they are the basic implementing agencies, and they are they are making the guidelines, and according to which the subsidy has been granted, the bank loan has been granted. So everything goes on after the letter of intent. So NHB or NHM, they are the right persons to see that the green building is there in the cold storage. There are things, energy conservation is there, better insulations are there, better ventilations are there in the cold storages, and the green building effect is also there. So
even ACPH very important. Air change per hour is very important. We require minimum 40 ACPH. So a lot of vendors are also not at all educated why it is required. So lot of things to be shared when we meet. Yes. Because I'm the person who is designing the cold storage, IKW per ton, power consumption. I'm responsible for minimizing the power consumption per cold storage.
Very
and
nice.
I'm developing 1,000 cold storage, not 1 or 2. Okay, I have designed 4 pack houses in India. Okay, so a lot of every rupee is cost to our management. So that's what my intention is.
It is very heartening that you are now leaving Uttar Pradesh and again going to Maharashtra now, from our state to Maharashtra.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Bhavesh, Mr. Rajesh.
Thank you.
Things are in the offing now. So thank you very much for the wonderful insights and sharing the views. And it's time to close, I think. And I would speak Mr. Rajat to give the closing statement to end the session, please.
This has always been a pleasure. It's, I think, the second time that I've been on this kind of a seminar. And Sushilji, Rajeshji, thank you so much for participating. It was a very useful discussion, and Bhavesh bhai also brought in an interesting element of standards and a set of questions. So I think this has been really useful. We should have more of these, because as more and more people get aware of the fact that cold chain is an important part of the overall infrastructure, and it's not only a cost, but it's also a way for people to actually make a good business and improve the quality of products and make better sort of margins and revenues. I think that's an important thing for people to understand. And that's where the future of our commodity business and all food processing business is going. Also, at the same time, this is a great forum for everyone to showcase new technologies and to come up with new solutions. And I think we should continue this kind of engagement more often. And really appreciate all of everyone coming for the discussion. And thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you, Mr. Rajat, for that. We have received many questions, and whatever you can answer, you may answer that. And I would request Rajeshwari to give the closing remarks and vote of thanks to all the participants.
Thank you, panelists, for exchanging your valuable thoughts on today's interactive session on cold chain opportunities in warehousing and logistics. We hope that you have enjoyed the session thoroughly. Before wrapping up today's session, we would like to thank our distinguished panelists, Mr. Rajesh, Mr. Rajat, and Mr. Sushi. I would also like to thank Mr. Gopal Anand and Mr. Prasad Nair for taking up this initiative. We would like our delegates and viewers to stay connected with us on our social media handles. Thermal Control Magazine is available on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Additionally, you can also download our app from Google Play and App Store. So with this, we would like to announce the closing of today's session. Request you to stay tuned for more such sessions. Thank you and goodbye.